We're learning more about Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's hospitalization this morning as both sides of the aisle really say the Pentagon should have been more transparent with him. He remains at Walter Reed National Medical Center, but the Pentagon says he resumed his duties on Friday. Republicans and Democrats saying the president and the public were kept in the dark about Austin's condition for too long. Evan Lambert joins us now from Washington with the very latest. Evan, what are we learning this morning?
Good morning, Marky. Some Republicans especially are demanding more information about the Secretary of Defense's health status just days after he was admitted to the hospital for complications from an elective surgery. The Pentagon, in a new statement just yesterday, revealing some additional details, saying that surgery was on December 22nd. And the secretary went home the next day, but was admitted to the intensive care unit at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center on last Monday after he reported severe pain. He remains in the hospital. The Pentagon did not notify President Biden or the Deputy Secretary of Defense Kathleen Hicks until Thursday, and Congress or the public until Friday. A stunning lack of transparency when it comes to a cabinet secretary. In a statement yesterday, Pentagon Press Secretary Major General Pat Ryder saying that Austin is, quote, recovering well and in good spirits. He added, quote, while we do not have a specific date for his release at this time, we will continue to provide updates on the secretary's status as they become available. Also, the Secretary of Defense putting out a mea culpa of sorts in his own statement, saying, quote, I am very glad to be on the mend and look forward to returning to the Pentagon soon. I also understand the media concerns about transparency, and I recognize I could have done a better job ensuring the public was appropriately informed. I commit to doing better. On Sunday, former Vice President Mike Pence took the secretary to task on CNN's State of the Union.
The handling of this by the Secretary of Defense is totally unacceptable. And I believe the American people have a right to know about his medical condition, about the reasons for it, and he has a right to know who was informed of his incapacity. And I mean, but to think that at a time when we have allies at war in Eastern Europe and here in Israel, that the leader of America's military at the Pentagon would be out of commission for a number of days, and the President of the United States didn't know about it. I think it was a dereliction of duty, and the Secretary and the administration, frankly, need to step forward and give the American people the facts.
The White House saying that President Biden spoke with Secretary Austin on Saturday night, describing that conversation as a warm one, also saying that the president, quote, has full confidence in Secretary Austin.